You don't need proof. You don't need a reason. You don't even need a full conversation, because when it's him, when it's the one your soul has always known, your body reacts before your mind can catch up. It's not a crush. It's not attraction. It's not fantasy. It's remembrance. And it only happens to the feminine, not because she's weaker, but because she's wider in feeling, wider in receptivity, wider in the depth she can sense and carry. When he's the real one, something inside you wakes up, something that was sleeping patiently until his frequency entered the field. You don't understand it. You feel it. Your chest gets tight. Your eyes water without warning. Your breath gets heavier, and your energy starts shifting without permission. You're not falling in love. You're remembering love. And that remembrance is not casual. It's cellular. Your soul starts preparing, even if your ego resists. Your nervous system says, "This is the one we've been waiting for." But here's the secret no one tells you. Only the feminine experiences this first, because she's the one who remembers. She's the one who carries the timeline. She's the one whose body whispers before the story unfolds. So if you've ever felt it, that unexplainable knowing, that sudden shift, that heart-aching pull without logic, you're not crazy. You're not imagining it. You're not obsessed. You're awakening, and when he's the real one, your soul knows. Before a single word is ever spoken, you didn't choose to feel this. You didn't plan it. You didn't even know where it came from. But something shifted the moment he entered your field. And it wasn't just emotional, it was physical. Your chest tightened, your breathing changed. You suddenly became aware of your body in a way you hadn't felt in a long time, or maybe ever. And no, it wasn't attraction, not the kind you're used to. This wasn't about his looks, his voice, or the way he carried himself. This was something deeper, more primal, more ancient, more sacred. Your body recognized something before your mind could give it a name. Because when he is the real one, the one your soul has been intertwined with across timelines, the first to know is not your brain, it's your body. Your nervous system doesn't lie. It doesn't wait for a romantic story to unfold. It responds to frequency, not fantasy. And when the right frequency enters your energetic field, your body knows. It's not excitement, it's intensity. It's not butterflies, it's electricity. And sometimes it's not even pleasant. It's unsettling, overwhelming, even exhausting. Because your system isn't reacting to a new man. It's responding to an old memory, a recognition buried so deep that words fail to explain it. And only the awakened feminine understands this. Not because she's been trained to detect it, but because she was born remembering. The divine feminine has always been the keeper of soul codes. She feels timelines before they collapse. She feels connections before they take shape. She feels endings before beginnings even make sense. And when she meets the one, the true one, her body reacts with a sacred kind of alarm. Not because there's danger, but because there's destiny. You can't breathe the same. You can't think straight. You try to talk yourself out of it, but the pull doesn't go away. You wake up with his energy in your chest. You go to sleep with his presence hovering in your field. And nothing he said, nothing he did, justifies what you're feeling. Because this isn't about logic. It never was. Your soul recognizes what your ego can't explain. And your body is the messenger. So what happens next? The mind tries to interrupt. It tries to analyze, decode, protect. It wants to know, what did he do to make me feel this? Why can't I stop thinking about him? Is this trauma or truth? And the truth is this: it could be both. Because the real one doesn't come to complete you. He comes to activate you, to activate what was asleep, what you were too afraid to feel, what no one else ever touched, not because they didn't try, but because they simply didn't match. And now that your body has been activated, you can't pretend it didn't happen. You can't unfeel it. You can't go back to numb. But here's the sacred responsibility. You can't chase it either. You must let the frequency settle. You must allow the energy to move through you without attaching to outcome. Because just as quickly as your body opened, it can close again if you try to force what's meant to flow. So breathe, feel, let the current move. Because this connection isn't here to make you fall in love. It's here to wake up your soul. And only the feminine understands this, because only she carries the field wide enough to hold the remembrance. He may not feel it yet. He may be unaware. He may even be confused by the sudden pull toward you. But you've already felt it in your body. And that is not nothing, that is everything. Your body is not betraying you. It's revealing something you've always known, but forgot how to feel. And now that it's awake, you are no longer who you were. So don't ignore it. Don't diminish it. Don't try to make it make sense. Just honor it. Because when the real one enters your life, your body doesn't wait for confirmation. It becomes the confirmation. Why your soul reacts without permission. You didn't give your soul permission to feel him. You didn't consciously open a door. You didn't plan to respond, but you did. Without warning, without preparation, without logic, your inner world shifted. Not because you wanted it to, but because something ancient moved through you. That's what happens when it's real. Your soul doesn't ask for your approval. It doesn't wait for safety. It doesn't care about timing. It simply remembers. And that remembrance bypasses everything else. It skips your fear. It ignores your resistance. It silences your logic. And it moves straight to your core. Suddenly, your thoughts are not your own. You're pulled into feelings you can't control. You start to sense his presence in rooms he's never entered. You hear his name in your mind, not because you're obsessed, but because your soul is speaking to you in its own language. And that language doesn't follow the rules of human relationships. It follows the rhythm of the divine, because soul doesn't care how long you've known him. It doesn't care if it makes sense. It doesn't care if he's available, if you're ready, if life is aligned. Soul only knows one truth: resonance. And when the frequency of your soul meets the one it's been connected to across lifetimes, there is no negotiation. There is only reaction. You react in silence, in stillness, in that sudden burst of tears you can't explain, in that ache in your chest that wasn't there yesterday, in that spark of hope that rises, even when your mind says no. You didn't decide to feel it. It decided for you, and that's what makes it sacred. Because what you feel now isn't just for him, it's through him. He becomes the mirror, not of your need, but of your soul's capacity to open again. He touches the place that grief covered. He wakes up the space that no one else reached. He enters the field, and without speaking, he shifts it, not because he's perfect, not because he's conscious, not because he did anything intentional, but because the contract between your souls is active, and that contract doesn't live in the mind, it lives in the frequency. So if you've ever asked yourself, why do I feel this way around him? Why can't I explain this connection? Why does it feel like something in me is moving without my consent? It's because your soul is responding, and soul doesn't need permission. This is why only the feminine experiences it this way. Because she feels first. She carries the awareness in her body long before it becomes visible. She hears the frequency shift before it's spoken aloud. She knows in her chest what her mind can't yet organize. That knowing is her gift. And sometimes it feels like a curse, because he may not feel it yet. He may not mirror your depth. He may not understand what's being activated in you. And yet, it's still real. You are not crazy. You're not delusional. You're not making it up. You are just sensitive to the frequency of what's real. And that is what makes the awakened feminine different. She doesn't need proof to trust what she feels. She doesn't need validation to stand in what she knows. But here is where the challenge comes. Can you trust this without controlling it? Can you feel this awakening and not demand a story from it? Because the soul doesn't wake you up to chase someone. It wakes you up to wake you up, to bring you back into your own aliveness, to show you what your energy is capable of holding again. So if your soul is reacting without permission, let it. Let it breathe. Let it unravel. Let it move through you. But don't force it to mean something. Don't turn this sacred reaction into a desperate reaching, because your soul's response is not a command. It's a mirror, a message, a call home. Let the masculine be the mirror, not the mission. Let his energy remind you of your own. Let his presence awaken your presence. Let the activation be about you too, because even if nothing ever unfolds, even if he never understands the shift you felt in that one moment, you will be changed. And that change is sacred. You were not seeking a soulmate. You were seeking yourself. And now that the soul has stirred, you cannot return to sleep. So don't wait for his recognition. Recognize yourself. Recognize the awakening. Honor the pull. Not as a sign of destiny, but as a reminder of how deeply alive you still are. And if he's truly the one, his soul will respond in his own way, in his own time. But you don't need to wait. You only need to keep trusting the most sacred truth of all. Your soul remembers what the world has forgotten, and when the frequency is real, you will always feel it before anyone else does. You were fine, not numb, not lost, not broken. You were functional. You were healing. You were even growing. And yet, something was still sleeping. Not because you were doing anything wrong, but because certain parts of the soul only wake up when a specific energy enters the field. When he enters the field, the real one, not the fantasy, not the placeholder, not the one who fills a role, but the one whose frequency carries the key to a room inside you that no one else ever reached. And when that energy arrives, you feel it like a spark inside the silence. It doesn't ask for attention. It doesn't demand anything. It simply lights up something inside you. Something you didn't even realize was waiting, a tenderness, a vulnerability, a wild softness, a part of you that wanted to be felt, seen, and remembered, but never found the space to rise. And suddenly, it's rising. Not because you decided it was time, not because he said or did anything, but because your soul recognized his field as safe enough or aligned enough to let that dormant part awaken. You might cry, you might feel overwhelmed, you might feel strangely exposed, like someone just looked directly into the part of you that hides beneath all your strength. It's not weakness, it's remembrance. You're not becoming smaller, you're becoming more whole. Because that part of you, the part that's rising now, has always been part of your essence. It just needed the right resonance to return. And that's what the real one brings. He doesn't bring perfection. He brings activation. He doesn't complete you. He calls you back to yourself. You feel more alive, more aware, more raw. And yes, more sensitive. Your senses sharpen, your intuition spikes, your dreams become vivid, your skin reacts, your breath changes, and maybe, for the first time in years, you feel yourself stepping into deeper feeling, not the kind that spins you out, the kind that grounds you, while also making you realize how much more there is to your heart than you ever allowed yourself to access. He doesn't teach it to you. He doesn't give it to you. He simply awakens it. And that awakening doesn't always feel safe. Because now that you've touched that place again, you can't unfeel it. You can't unsee what you saw in his eyes, not about him, but about you. Because that's what the real one does. He reflects not just love, but depth. He reflects your capacity to hold, to surrender, to open it again. And here's what most women don't realize. That opening is not about him. It's about you. He was the trigger, but the activation is yours. You could run from it. You could try to suppress it. You could try to numb it away. But it will follow you, because now that this part of you is awake, it's asking to be integrated, not ignored. And that's the sacred opportunity to allow this version of you to emerge. The version that feels deeply but doesn't lose herself, the version that can soften without shrinking, the version that can love without chasing. This is your inner feminine rising, not because a man arrived, but because your soul said, it's time. So if he's awakened something in you, if you find yourself more tender, more open, more emotional, in ways that don't even make sense. Trust it. Don't analyze it. Don't label it. Don't rush to figure it out. Just breathe with it. Feel into it. Ask, what is this version of me asking for now? What part of my energy is ready to return? What would it look like to live from this place, even if he never understands what he stirred? Because his presence wasn't meant to save you. It was meant to remind you, you are the space where truth lives. You are the field where feeling becomes transformation. You are the one who can hold sacred energy and not collapse. He may never know what he activated, but you do. And that knowing, that quiet shift, that emotional opening, that's the feminine remembering herself. And once you feel it, you can never go back to sleep. It feels like falling, but it's not. It feels like your heart just opened without permission. Like your energy spilled out of its container. Like you're being pulled into something you don't understand. But this isn't what they call falling in love. This is remembering love. Not romantic love, not conditional love, not storybook love, but the ancient kind, the kind your soul has held in silence across lifetimes, the kind that doesn't begin in the present, the kind that was already alive before the two of you even met. And now, in one look, one moment, one energetic shift, that remembrance floods your system. That's why it feels intense. That's why it shakes you. That's why you think, where is this coming from? It's coming from the part of your soul that never forgot. It's not falling, it's returning. And only the awakened feminine understands this difference. She knows that what stirs within her now isn't about fantasy. It's not a projection. It's a realignment. She's not desperate for a man. She's not addicted to a connection. She's simply receiving the memory that was hidden beneath her healing. Because here's the sacred truth. Your heart doesn't always speak in the language of time. It speaks in the language of truth. And truth isn't always polite. It arrives like a thunderclap. It rushes in through the cracks. It floods your chest without explanation. And the mind scrambles. It tries to measure. It tries to manage. It tries to contain. But the soul doesn't ask to be contained. It asks to be heard. That's what this is. A soul-level message trying to rise above the noise. Not to drag you into something unclear, but to bring you back to something you once knew. You're not falling, you're recognizing. You're being shown a mirror that reflects not only him, but you, the version of you that loved with complete surrender, the version of you that felt the truth before it was safe to speak it, the version of you that remembers the union before the separation. And in that recognition, you soften, not because you're weak, but because you no longer want to fight what's real. But here is where the feminine must be wise. Just because you remember doesn't mean he does. Just because you feel it doesn't mean he's ready to meet it. And that's okay, because this isn't about building a future. It's about honoring a truth without attaching to its outcome. You're not here to convince anyone. You're not here to chase validation. You're here to remember who you are when the truth rises through your body. And when that remembrance is sacred, you don't need it to become something. You only need to let it live inside you, raw, open, alive. So when the energy moves through your chest and your mind says, "Am I falling too fast? Is this real? Is this safe?" you can answer gently, "I'm not falling, I'm remembering." And remembrance isn't supposed to feel comfortable. It's supposed to feel holy, like grief and hope intertwined, like joy that aches, like silence that speaks volumes, because you're not remembering a person. You're remembering a vibration, a resonance, a space that once held you before you knew what it was called. And he just happens to be the one whose field touched that memory. It doesn't mean you're meant to stay. It doesn't mean he's the final destination. It means your soul has been seen again. And that kind of seeing, it's not for the weak. It awakens your deepest feminine knowing, the one that feels everything before it's understood, the one that trusts the invisible, the one that loves without needing possession. So you don't have to apologize for the ache. You don't have to hide the pull. You don't have to make yourself smaller just to seem sane. You are not crazy. You are not unstable. You are not too much. You are awake. And the moment you realized that this wasn't falling was the moment your soul whispered, "Welcome back." Something changed, and you don't know how to describe it. You didn't have a conversation. You didn't receive a sign. There was no breakthrough moment, and yet you're not the same. It started quietly, maybe even subtly. You felt a drop in your chest, a sudden stillness, a strange pressure in your heart, an emotional tightness that came without reason. You looked around and nothing external had shifted, but you had. You tried to shake it off, tried to tell yourself you were just overthinking, that it's just hormones, or a random emotion, or a passing wave. But it's not passing because something in your field has been activated. Something in your energy is responding, not to words, not to logic, but to frequency, and the feminine always feels it first. She feels the vibration before it becomes matter. She feels the soul before the man speaks. She senses the arrival before the footsteps. This is the paradox of being deeply tuned into your own spirit. You will feel things before they are real in this dimension. You will know before there is proof. You will shift without context. And sometimes it will feel like madness. Because how do you explain a spiritual frequency rearranging your emotional field? How do you put into words an energetic encounter that never took physical form? How do you justify that in a single moment, a man you barely know shook something awake in your entire being? You don't. You weren't meant to explain it. You were meant to honor it. Because your soul is speaking, your body is responding, and your field is in motion. That's why your appetite changed. That's why your sleep has become strange. That's why certain places feel more intense. Why certain people feel like noise. Why you crave silence, but feel heavier in it. Why your chest feels like it's carrying a weight no one can see. This is what happens when remembrance enters the body. It doesn't knock politely. It doesn't wait for permission. It simply shows up, and everything starts recalibrating around it. And the most sacred part, you don't need to do anything. You don't need to figure it out. You don't need to ask what it means. You don't need to chase the source. You only need to stay with the shift. Let it move. Let it open you. Let it show you what you were no longer willing to feel until now. Because here's the truth most won't tell you. The real one doesn't always come to change your life. Sometimes he comes to change your energy, to awaken something, to stir something that had gone dormant in your soul. And when that stirring happens, your whole field begins to reorganize. It's not always about union. It's about activation. He touched your frequency, even if he doesn't know it. And that single moment, one glance, one word, one silent presence, was enough to shift you into a different dimension of yourself. And now you feel different. You're softer but stronger, more emotional but clearer, more open but less willing to chase. Because the feminine that rises after this kind of shift is a woman who knows something sacred passed through her. She doesn't need anyone to validate it. She doesn't need it to become something in the physical. She simply allows it to complete what it came to awaken. So if you feel the shift, but can't explain it, stop explaining. Start trusting. You are not broken. You are not delusional. You are not too sensitive. You are attuned, and the more attuned you become, the more often this will happen. You will feel the masculine awakening before he even realizes he's waking up. You will feel his restlessness, his grief, his pull, his return, not because he told you, but because your frequency is connected to his, beyond what the mind can touch. But you must not make this shift about him. This is your shift. This is your system evolving, your field expanding, your feminine remembering how to feel without drowning. Let it happen. Let yourself be moved. Let yourself rise through it, not for a story, not for a man, but because you promised your soul that this time you would not abandon the truth inside your own body. The energy has shifted, and you're not crazy. You're just becoming. If you're questioning everything right now, if your heart feels full but unexplainably heavy, if your chest aches without a single word to being spoken, it's because something real moved through you. Not imagined, not forced, not hoped for, but remembered. And when he's the real one, the soul-aligned one, he doesn't make you chase. He doesn't leave you spinning in self-doubt. He doesn't feed a loop of confusion and fear. Because when it's him, you don't feel lost. You feel lit, not because he completes you, but because his presence, his frequency, awakens what was already inside you. You don't question your worth. You don't twist yourself to be seen. You don't beg for signs, because you've already felt the sign in your body. The signal wasn't in what he did. It was in how you opened when your soul sensed him. And that opening, that shift in your breath, that softening of your edges, that melting in your spine, that wasn't weakness. That was resonance. You felt it first, because the feminine always feels it first. She's the one who receives, who holds the blueprint, who vibrates before form. And when the real one brushes against that frequency, even for a second, the feminine opens. Not because she's needy, not because she's attached, but because her soul has been ready, ready to feel, ready to remember, ready to stop pretending she doesn't know what she knows. Because here's the truth. When it's him, truly him, you don't feel chaos. You feel clarity, even if it hurts, even if it doesn't make sense, even if he's not ready, even if nothing ever becomes of it. There is peace in the knowing, peace in the presence, peace in the silent recognition that says, there you are, I know you. And maybe he doesn't say it back. Maybe he doesn't even realize what he's triggering, but you do. because your soul has waited lifetimes to remember that feeling, not to possess it, not to control it, but to return to it. That's why it's sacred. And the most sacred things don't always become relationships. Sometimes they become portals, moments that crack you open and reveal more of who you are. Moments that shift your timeline, even if they're brief. Moments that wake you up, not to chase him, but to chase you. Because the one who awakens you reminds you that your soul is alive. And once that happens, you can't go back to pretending. You can't unfeel. You can't dim yourself again just to stay safe. So here is the invitation. Don't make this awakening about the outcome. Make it about who you are inside it. Let him be the spark, but you are the flame. Let him be the mirror, but you are the reflection. Let him be the memory, but you are the meaning. Because whether or not he ever meets you in that frequency again, you already met yourself. And that meeting, that moment when your body, soul, and spirit aligned and said, "This is real," that's the moment that matters. The real one doesn't confuse you, he clarifies you. He doesn't spin you into stories. He pulls you deeper into your essence. He doesn't demand your energy. He activates it. And even if he doesn't stay, what he awakened in you will never leave. So thank the memory. Bless the pull. Honor the shift. And keep walking as the woman who knows, not because she was told, but because her body felt it. You are not crazy. You are not weak. You are not too much. You are awakened. You are open. You are divine. And when he's the real one, you don't fall. You rise.